Hello and welcome to a brand new 5 Heart podcast. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko, back in the hot seat and looking devilishly handsome. He is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. He is our founder and fearless leader, and he's rocking the robe for all of you out there in Loveland tonight. John Johnston, hello, sir.
How you doing, Greg?
Well,
stuff is happening. Things are happening. The world's exploding. Everybody's insane. Why do you feel old?
We're having a brief pre-going live conversation about when the first 5 Heart episode aired. September 2nd, 2016.
See, I told you it was before I was dead.
Yeah.
No, that was after I was dead. I died in 2015. What a dumb way to start a conversation. Okay. Dead. I don't remember those days very well. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Just lots to go. But yes. John, we're joined by a very special guest. This guest has risen, that's not a word, risen above the ranks of mere Chatterfield. This guest reached out to you expressing their interest in being on the show. And again, a regular here almost every week, if not every week, knows the show and still volunteered to be on the show. And I don't know if there's like a tryout of sorts. This might be a new full-time member of the 5 Heart podcast, but Chatterfields, welcome one of your own, making her 5 Heart live debut. It's Minnie, everybody.
Yay! Thank you. What an introduction.
I'm waiting for the shock and awe because I'm going through all the comments. Comments started lining up a half hour ago about the situation in Lincoln. So I'm excited for all the new comments after the reveal. Minnie, how are you?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
Again, you know what you're getting into, right? I mean, you've been around the show long enough.
Oh, there's a lot of fun.
You're wise to not put your last name on there because I'm sure you have a job and you want to separate. You want to have a little bit of plausible deniability.
Exactly.
So before we get into all the happenings, we got to find out more about you, Minnie. Where are you from? As specific as you want to get, and you don't have to get too specific.
I'm from Arizona. I live here in Phoenix, and I have a cabin up north. And believe it or not, it snows up there. So we're not all just desert. And my family and I, we love to ski. We ski all winter long. And besides skiing, I'm a full-time Husker fan, as you can see.
I imagine, like most Husker fans, it's overstressed and underpaid being a full-time fan.
Absolutely. I always joke that I am probably one of the biggest fans there is because I've never been a fan of when we've been good. It's just been heartbreak and sorrow. You too. Yes, yeah, so you know.
05, 06, the Callahan era.
This doesn't say a lot for either your judgment and taste. Your taste. Really, that's what it is.
We have hope.
John?
What?
Was it an unexpected surprise? I mean, I guess that's redundant. It's both unexpected and a surprise to receive a contact from Minnie about coming on the show.
Yes.
Would you care to elaborate, or is that what we're sticking with?
Yeah. I don't know. I think she sent me an email, and I thought, well, she's always positive. She could be bubbly. She could be, you know what? She could be the counter to me. The cranky, crusty old guy. And I can, you're not old enough to be the cranky, I'm a grumpy old man.
No, but I thought I was the counter to you because I'm Mr. 15-0 positivity.
You're not, you're more like the Full Metal Jacket counter to me. Whatever the hell that might mean. We need somebody that, look at her. She's got a nice smile. She looks good. Her house is festive. There you go.
We're ready. We're ready to party.
And besides that, Greg, there are 853 Nebraska podcasts and YouTube shows. And you know what they're all missing? You know what they're all missing? Yeah. And I just think that's dumb. So, we have Beth for volleyball. We have Miley for volleyball. We're going to have softball coming up, and we're going to have stuff there. We need a woman for football to represent. I just, not because it's kind of, diverse. It's more that I like the voice. I like the different people having different ideas. That's what I like. So I want to argue with Minnie. That's what I'm saying.
Well, there's a lot of women Husker fans.
Yeah.
There are. There's as many women as there are men. Maybe more.
Demographically speaking, I mean, 51% of the world's population is female. So
there you go.
I got to be careful because are they? I mean, maybe that's a different podcast altogether.
I see them at games. When I get to go to games, I see more women than I do men. Maybe the men are just smarter and don't wear red to games. Actually, I do have a theory about that. The women will dress up to the nines. Yeah. We wear red from head to toe. We're bringing our pom-poms, whatever we can do to cheer on our team.
And the guys try to slip as much whiskey as they can and wherever the hell they're going to fit.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't do that anymore, but that was kind of a, where are they not going to pat me down at kind of thing. Can I look fatter? I'd like to be fatter.
From what I understand, you used to pregame with some Jack Daniels enemas because it would absorb into the bloodstream faster, right?
Oh, God, no. Here's years ago, Todd, I don't know if Todd was one of those guys, but when we went to games, most of the guys would drink Bacardi 151, an alcohol that was so powerful it's no longer sold. Okay, and it was 151 proof. I mean, it was just drink it, you're done. We used to carry them out at half and like throw them someplace and come back at halftime. I didn't drink that much before Husker games, but there were times where you know what a Bota bag is?
No.
Okay, you don't. Think of like an old TV show. Well, you're not old. Think of an old TV show where you have a leather sack and it's like a leather can.
Like an Indiana Jones satchel?
Yeah, kind of like a satchel, and you pour it full of whiskey and you could just mold it around your body and stuff it in your coat, like up in here, right? And make yourself kind of look fatter and around your gut and down in your pants. And, that's where you'd stick your Bota bags. And those were how you snuck whiskey into the games and stuff. But I usually didn't. I say usually, sometimes I did drink a lot, but there you go. Hey, we have news today.
Well, before we do that, let's get to some of the response.
Okay.
We had, as I put this one up there a minute ago, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
In fact, we're just going to let Minnie respond to all these.
Oh, gosh.
So there's Justin. There's Josh.
Hi. Thank you. Hi, Josh.
Phil.
Oh, Phil, it's so nice to see you too.
Fred.
Oh, the man.
Joel.
Oh, hi, Joel.
Now you got to read this. Or actually, tell you what, let me read this comment on your behalf. Joel says Minnie is prettier than John.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. I mean,
that's because he cut his hair.
Well, here's the thing.
I have the crust going.
Our very next one is Richard says, John, Minnie has better hair than you.
Whoa, now that's a compliment.
I was going to say that's really, as the kids would say, throwing the shade. I don't know if they're still saying that, by the way. All right. Stephanie here, another, again, representative from the female fan base, which is great. I think that means we have two.
Stephanie.
Monica's around too as well. Monica jumps in from time to time. Let's see. Fred says Full Metal Greg and Sergeant Johnston. I'm just glad it wasn't Sergeant Johnson. That'd be totally inappropriate. Stephanie says totally agree, including a female voice. And Phil wants to know, Minnie, how did you become a Husker fan?
Oh boy. Well, here's a short version of it. I've never liked football, and I didn't know anything about it. And I've been kind of around guys, that like football pretty much my whole life, including my brothers and my dad. But it wasn't until about 10 years ago when I was watching, I think it was BYU versus Nebraska. Anyways, the quarterback got injured so bad that they carted him off in an ambulance. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm just watching it out of the corner of my eye. I thought, this poor kid, is he going to live? And I thought for sure the game would not continue. And sure enough, it did. And I thought, oh my gosh, aren't they worried about their teammate? And then I was thinking, if I was a football player, I think I would just like to fight even harder for my injured teammate. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, I hate to say it, of course, because Nebraska lost, but I was just impressed with the young kids putting their bodies on the line every single play. And I feel like that's kind of a heroic feat. And so these young kids, they sign up for this, and I admire it. And I love everything Huskers, everything from like the Bob Devaney years, Tom Osborne. I love hearing all those old stories. And then of course, whenever you get around Husker fans, we're all nuts. So it's kind of like one big happy family.
I think your answer there and Aaron's comment, very synchronous, as he says, Minnie is an island of reason in a sea of crotchety delusion.
Well, crotchety delusion. Come on now. We're going to find this out as we go on. This island of reason thing.
John, while we're working on CornNation hair care products.
Yeah.
Living in Omaha, David Matney says, maybe we need CornNation merch with hidden pockets for smuggling booze.
Well, see, you don't. You just need to find Boda bags. And then they just fit.
Can we get some CornNation? Can we get some Cobby Boda bags?
I will look for things I could have for Cobby Boda bags. And that's the thing. The further I get away from the alcohol.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
All right. I now know what a Boda bag is officially. So I feel better. Looks like a 20th century version of an old wineskin. So
yes.
All right. So a few things happened. I mean, we should probably, we're almost 15 minutes into this thing, and a few things happened. I am under the belief that a couple of days ago, we were looking like we might have 3 quarterbacks in Kyle McCord, Danny Kalin, and Dylan Rayola. That was what it was certainly looking like. And now I'm convinced we're going to have 0 quarterbacks. And we're going to have Heinrich Harburg and Chubba Purdy, and they will lead us to another season.
Okay, so the news is Kyle McCord has decided he's not coming to Nebraska, and everybody's like, what happened? Well, the word is that Kyle McCord wanted to be guaranteed a starting position, and no coach is going to do that. I unless you have like nobody with legs. No coach is going to look at a player and say, yes, you're just going to be the guaranteed starter the moment you walk in here. And I guess his next destination is projected to be Syracuse, which maybe they don't have any quarterbacks, or maybe they look at him and go, fine, you're the starter. But that's the story on McCord. But I think the story for me is going on. I try to limit my time on Twitter. I've said that before. The thing is yesterday we were so high as a kite with the whole, oh my God, we have 3 quarterbacks. Yeah. And today it's like we all woke up in a ditch naked and, hungover, and we don't know where we are, and we don't know how we got there. And we're like, what the hell happened? There you go. And it's just, it's, dear God.
It's not the first time John woke up naked in a ditch.
Well, that's a different story.
Deny it. You can't.
I just,
All right.
we have a ways to go. The portal doesn't close until January 2nd. There's a ways to go through this process. Our time, keep in mind that our timetable is not Dylan Rayola's timetable, and it's not Kyle McCord's timetable, and they're going to take their time to do things right. There you go. That's my take on the Kyle McCord situation.
Well, here's my take on a completely unrelated situation, John. As Husker fans, we are knee deep into the off season, which means we're that much closer to eventually the Young Guns screening. And while it's a little early in the show, Paul Dalen wanted us to have $4.99 for Team Jack. So I've written it down, this new total. Thank you very much, Paul, for your super chat, your support.
Go. Now, see, this happens every once in a while where things just seize up. And by the way, Minnie, if you're going to get an word edgewise with me around, you just need
knock on the door.
You need to go.
Burst in.
Yeah, you just burst in. I'm a guy that I don't have a filter, and I'm not as nice as Greg. I just go. So if you're going to go, just pow.
Okay, I'm going to go now. Okay.
Okay.
So I kind of have a theory on this.
Okay.
I believe that Matt Rhule, he just did that Pat McAfee show yesterday, and he's on the show. He's looking all relaxed, and I think that he knew already Rayola was coming, obviously, but I think he already had the conversation with the other two quarterbacks, with Kyle McCord and with Daniel Kaelin, and basically, was totally honest with them and up front and said, it's up to you, but he's our number one choice. So yeah. I think he's just being fair.
Yeah, and I don't think he can handle it any other way. I mean, if you look at people, if you guarantee a guy a starting position, number one, you're not sure what he's going to do in your offense in your place. Beth and I did a volleyball show earlier. She's stressed, and keep in mind, Beth played Division I volleyball and she coached Division I volleyball. And she said, 2023, this volleyball team, and we talked about how a lot of them are coming back next year, and it will be a different team with the same players. It'll still be a different team. So even though Kyle McCord had a lot of stuff going on at Ohio State, and I would have loved to have him at Nebraska, you can't just tell the guy, yeah, you're the starter when you walk in the door. Right. And then turn. The problem with that is you can't turn around then and tell your other team, oh, by the way, you guys are all going to have to compete for stuff, but I've anointed this guy God.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't work that way. So,
and I completely agree with the mentality. Nothing should be handed, right? I mean, Nebraska is not good enough to anoint or appoint anyone in the offseason. Josh makes a good point. I'm going to throw his comment up here. He says, call me jaded, but I'm taking 11-1 McCord over an 0-0 anyone. I mean, Kyle McCord did prove himself in one of the tougher conferences, certainly the tougher division in one of the tougher conferences. His only loss was to Michigan. Michigan went on to, obviously win the conference championship. And, they're Ohio State, as much as I hate them, and I do. I mean, they're a top 5 hated team for me for a host of reasons. But I mean, the kid proved, young man. He proved himself as a starting quarterback at the Division I level. Again, does that mean that he can dictate? You need to name me the starter. I'm not going to. No, but he's the proven commodity. He's not the 18-year-old coming in green. Even if he's, Dylan Rhule being the number one, I almost say number one overall draft pick, but number one recruit in the country.
Well,
go ahead, Minnie.
What does that mean for Nebraska, bringing in Dylan Rhule? I mean, think about that. It's huge. We're getting national attention. And when news broke that Dylan Rayola was coming to Nebraska, I mean, I hate to say it, but kind of nothing was talked about with Kyle McCord. You know, we're getting national attention. Think about that as far as the recruits go.
And I don't disagree, but I also know that Danny Kaelin did a lot of, recruiting as a commit himself. And James Boardman, this is kind of what I alluded to moments ago. He says, nightmare scenario, McCord moves on, Kaelin commits to Michigan State, Rayola goes back to Georgia on Wednesday, and the sky turns black in Lincoln. It's dogs and cats living together. It's the whole
plague of locusts. That's what he's missing there. Plagues, because that's happened in Nebraska. Plagues of locusts coming and eating all the clothes and all the crops and all the Nebraska football. Did eat the stadium. This is what amazes me about us as fans is, and I think every fan base does this, is the catastrophizing. None of this stuff has happened. Okay. We have January 2nd, the portal closes, decisions have to be made. None of this stuff has happened. It's like having, I don't know, $2 billion in stocks you haven't turned into money yet. It's just sitting out there and you haven't got the capital gains yet.
Can I throw up a comment here that is completely, I understand, because I said, Dylan Rhule being an 18-year-old kid. Jason Reeves with an interesting comment. I didn't expect it. It was not on my, Wednesday night 5 Heart Live bingo card where Jason says we win wars with 18-year-olds. We do. I mean, historically, yes. But we also win them with bigger, better weapons. and are the weapons around Dylan Rayola bigger and better than the weapons that are in Athens, Georgia, or Columbus, Ohio? That's. I wasn't.
We don't have to go 11-1 next year to be successful. We have a very
6-6
low bar. Yeah, that we didn't make this year, unless everybody's already pooping themselves about next season. We have to go 10-2, or everybody's already. You know what I mean? It's not even. We're not even through this season, for God's sakes. There's still a whole college football playoff of bowls and portals and National Signing Day, and we're already damning the world.
John, I'm a 41-year-old man, and I haven't pooped myself in a long time.
I like the comment that somebody said that Dylan Rayola should announce his commitment from John's bathroom.
You borrow the bathrobe?
Too perfect.
Here we go. Represent. Crystal is excited to see Minnie on the show. And again, I know my service dropped out like some of the footballs through our receivers' hands, and the commenters were quick to make those analogies. But I did come back in time for Minnie, for John to say, just jump in anytime, because we talk a lot, and if you wait for a window, that window will close. So, so right now, realistically, our quarterback room is Chubba Purdy, Heinrich Harburg,
and that's it. Yeah.
And
we're
usually
kind of where we were. We're exactly where we were when Casey Thompson left. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like to me. We thought we had the most stacked quarterback room, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like the rug got pulled out from underneath us. What? He's leaving? So...
This is the rumor that was floating around. Brett says Casey Thompson is in Lincoln driving around with Emmett Johnson and throwing the football to him at an athletic training center and at a Lincoln physical therapy rehab center. So there is a rumor going around that Casey Thompson is back in Nebraska. And I'll propose this scenario. Okay, I don't know if he has eligibility left, but there a few days ago there was a lawyer or a judge granted an injunction against the NCAA in them disallowing multi-year transfers. In other words, basically the law said You can't block players from transferring multiple times. And I believe the NCAA has come out and said, okay, we won't. So it is possible, if Casey Thompson has eligibility left, that he could transfer back to Nebraska. And now people might go, well, why would he do that? Okay, put yourself in Casey Thompson's shoes. Is he going to get drafted? Is he going to make more money in the draft, or is he going to make more money on nil going someplace and being a quarterback that has experience and showed that he can play football fairly well? Maybe not so much on the health side, but there you go. That's my counter to this is all lunacy. Of course, it's all lunacy. We're going through a process that hasn't come to an end yet. And we're living, this is what the 24-hour news cycle does to all of us. It turns us into madmen.
And this is what the transfer portal, it compounds it exponentially. Look, I'm not bemoaning the olden days when John had dark hair, but with the transfer, the availability of the transfer portal, I mean, the kids can write their own ticket, right or wrong. I mean, however you choose to attack that argument, it's a never-ending game that these kids can play, and especially with social media.
And if you were the Dylan Rayola, the Rayola family, I mean, you'd be negotiating for whatever the highest price you could get, and at the same time be looking at where you could be the most successful. You're not just going to make it. I know that there's a lot of people. I've seen comments from us. I've seen comments on other things. This kid just needs to make a decision. Well, no, he doesn't actually. He doesn't need to make a decision until signing day, and then he needs to decide. And like I said earlier, their timeline is not our timeline. Just because we're like, oh, make a commitment, stop jerking people around. Oh my God, grow up for you, candy butt people.
But doesn't it feel like he belongs in Lincoln? Like, honestly, he just belongs there. Yes. He's been a Husker his whole life. It felt wrong that he was going to Georgia. I just never believed it. Even when his whole family moved to Georgia.
I was going to ask you that. You live in Phoenix. He lived in Phoenix. The metro. And now, did you live close to him? Did you like binoculars? You were spying on? Yes. You were a stalker, right?
Absolutely. I am a stalker. Sad, but true. He was going to go to school at a high school just 2 miles down the road from me. And I called up the school and wanted to know how I could volunteer for the football program. And they said that I could volunteer to move the chains. So I was all set to start moving the chains during football games, except he left and went to Georgia.
Did you take your name off the phone list?
Did you still do the chains?
No, I didn't. No, I don't have any ties to that school.
Minnie, you're gonna fit in real good. You're gonna fit in really well around here.
Oh God, yeah, you are.
I mean, that reminds me. Well, but that brings up an interesting. Here we go. So we talked about. Oh, doggone it! I have to find it again. Sorry. We talked about Dylan making his commitment from John's bathroom. And I have to find it again. I'm so sorry, everybody. Here we go. Well, Fred says if Dylan doesn't commit, John will cry in Dylan's bathroom and then get a restraining order.
Well, I think at this point it'd be really, it'd be nice if he committed. I mean, it'd be nice if we heard an announcement. It'd be nice, all of the crystal balls were Kyle McCord is coming to Nebraska. So obviously something happened. Something happened somewhere that set off this stuff. And probably, I said this Monday night, excuse me, I don't have any sources, but I'm guessing something happened in Georgia to cause this stuff where, maybe something where Georgia didn't have the nil money that Nebraska offered or something. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on. And all of it
go
is
ahead.
a lot of
Go
it
ahead,
is
Greg.
private conversations.
I was just going to say, or Dylan's on the run from the law and he can't stay in Georgia.
Not likely.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's a good kid.
Minnie would know. Minnie would know this.
I would know. No, I think it's interesting that Rhule went on McAfee yesterday and he was talking about how a kid can be guaranteed a certain amount of nil, and then once, it's time to pay up, they don't do it. And he kept talking about that. So I kind of feel like he was alluding to this may have happened at Georgia.
Oh, okay. So they promised him things that they didn't deliver on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard that from other programs. I'm going to take 2 comments real quick. Joel Tilson, Rayola announcement tomorrow. I don't know. Why would he announce tomorrow? That's it, Joel. That's what I mean about their timeline is not our timeline. And then Fred Sacco says, serious question. I'm catching up on all of it. Is Rayola still questionable for us, or is he definitely in? Well, he's questionable up until you sign the letter of intent. There you go. You're questionable. And we've all seen kids back out at the last minute. So, and quite frankly, Josh Hansen has this right. Fred, he isn't in until signing day. Ask Georgia. Yeah, this is how it goes. This is recruiting, and this is how it's always gone. So I get that people are kind of freaked out about the fact that yesterday we were thinking we'd have 2 5-star quarterbacks and Danny Kaelin on the roster. And, today we might have 0. Tomorrow we might have 4 or 5. We might have Cam Ward coming to Nebraska. And,
I don't know about Cam Ward.
I don't know.
But Caleb Ward, see what I did there? Says, I believe Rayola comes after the semester and team practices end. Hope he does, but we've been through this too many times to keep hopes up too high. So
I like what MW said. Would others flip with Rayola? It's a great question.
Oh, beat me to it, John. I've got to get a wireless mouse. Like I'm just using this pad on the laptop. It's goes slow.
I don't know if who knows? I don't know who's going to flip with Rayola. I would think that we'd be more concerned about the two receivers from Bellevue West flipping out of the class if Danny Kaelin's not going to be there.
I was going to
just because I want to give you all more heartburn.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I took it. I just snatched it from you.
I was going to say the same thing because it's not just the kids from Bellevue. What about like if we're trying to get this rush of in-state talent, and by bringing in Rayola, we chase away Danny Kaelin, perhaps 1 or 2 of the receivers that he's teammates with. What about Carter Nelson?
Oh, he's not going anywhere.
How far does this trickle-down effect go?
It doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, if we want to yank people's chains, we can do that. But I mean, Carter Nelson went to Notre Dame, turned around and said, I'm still in.
I got to put this one up because this is the name I always refer to. Jason Reeves, thank you so much. Bubba Starling still has eligibility. Every time we get into this situation, I always go back to that quarterback / ball player from Kansas City, I think, or somewhere down there, who committed and I believe signed, but then went enter the draft and had, if I recall, just a stellar Major League Baseball career.
Okay. One Vision 83 says that this plays out like our unluckiest streak. We miss on both at the last second. That's the thing with us is I think we're used to being beat up. We're used to not having last things. We're used to being Minnie.
You were the one that Rhule's in control. He's in control. He knows what's going on. I mean, all of this happening all within the same week. Rhule coming to Nebraska for an official visit, his uncle getting signed for another year and getting a bump. I mean, he's taking care of the offensive line so that his nephew is protected. And I think we're going to have him for 3 years, at least.
Dylan Rayola or the coach?
Dylan Rayola. and the coach, yes. Both Rayolas.
Well, while there's been plenty of quarterback talk, and it has been, certainly leading the media circus, Nebraska did get a commitment today. I don't know if you are all aware. Oh, well, I can't spring anything on you all. Alexander Rhule from Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas. He's a 3-star offensive tackle, and he look. When I crop a photo, you get the best I can give you, and I figure it's more important to have the whole thing rather than all that. Anyway, I don't have to justify myself to you all. So anyway, there's also talk. They've been talking quite a bit in the comments about a 5-star, and it was I almost thought it was Brett Baker, but we know Brett Baker, but it's Brandon Baker that is mulling around Nebraska as well. So it's if you're going to bring in Dylan Rhule, you better bring in some hosses to protect him. No offense to Hoss.
Well, they got Grant Brooks coming in. That's true. That's a good one.
True.
Bryce Benhart's coming back, and he improved all the way up to becoming.
And that is one of the things that we got to hear, I believe, in the comments. Vince Watson and Minnie, I know you and Vince go way back, at least back and forth every week, but Vince always says everyone worried about quarterbacks, but we've already won the offseason with all the players who have chosen to return that could have moved on. I think that says quite a bit as well. When you mentioned Benhart, who was much improved in 2023 over 2022, we get the left side of the offensive line shored up a little bit. We might have a feasible, fully functioning offensive line. But
that'd be something.
I did catch that earlier, Vince, and I want to make sure that I brought it up because I did think that was a great comment. I had it here. Fred wanted to know what I'm drinking tonight. Important stuff. What is Greg drinking? I'm having a Solar Flare from Site 1. I am in my seasonal beer mode. And don't hold it against me. This is from Texas, but it's about the only good thing to come from Texas, and that's Shiner's Holiday Cheer. So one of my favorite go-to Christmas beers. I highly recommend it. It's a little lower on the alcohol content from previous weeks, but it's just nice overall. Hope you all enjoy it. There you go, Fred.
My rotten son just walked in here and flipped me off. Double birds, Ian.
That sounds about right. Well, that's what they teach in Minnesota.
That's how our family holiday season gets going.
I fully blame the University of Minnesota for that. He wasn't like that before he went to that school.
Well, actually, somebody raised him to be a snotty, mouthy kid.
Brian Bauer wanted to know what we're doing about the void at the long snapper position.
Oh my God!
Don't do it, Fred. Don't do it, Fred.
Is there a void at the long snapper position?
Marcus Ortiz, yeah. He left.
Oh my God, you know this stuff. You're coming back on. That's it. I mean, I didn't realize there was a void at the long snapper position.
Yeah, what are we going to do?
I don't know. I teach somebody to long snap. I think that position, anybody who's snapping the ball is insane. To play that position out of any position on the field, that person has to be crazy. They've changed the rules so that you can't be right over the top of a long snapper. For years, the guy had a guy right on top of him, and he had to snap the ball long, accurately, quickly, and deal with a guy right in his face at the same time. And I think that those people they're a certain level of batshit insane. So they have to find a person who's batshit insane and teach them the long snap, or find one that already just knows how to do that.
But I'll tell you what, if you wouldn't have a prolonged career in the NFL, long snappers where it's at.
Or backup quarterbacks. You could be a backup quarterback.
That too. Here we go. Look, we always have to highlight the ignorant folk, I suppose. I don't know why. This individual here says Nebraska has sucked for 20 years and will suck for the next 20. Stick to volleyball. Tom ain't walking through that door. Thank you.
Well, okay.
Come on.
Well, first of all, you know they're not Husker fan, right? They're just here to troll, and that's okay. We're going to feed them just a morsel, to let them know that we have a sense of humor, and to an extent, they're right. We have sucked for 20 years, and our volleyball is top notch, but we don't know the next years, and that's where my hope lies. Anybody who's seen Shawshank Redemption knows that hope is a good thing, perhaps the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
It's a great movie.
Oh my God. It is.
Let's see here.
What's
I saw
next,
one.
Greg?
Moonbot
you have
says,
a bunch starred.
Thank you.
Oh
Moonbot says
Okay.
they got Minnie. That's
Yeah,
right.
buddy.
It was an early signing period acquisition. We're very excited for the future of the team now. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep it in football verbiage. Yes, I do have a bunch of stars, John. And wouldn't you know, they have a lot to do with quarterbacks, okay?
Oh, okay.
Dion's skeptical. Dion Pryor says, this to me is a complete mess, and how in the world can anyone trust Dylan to stick around? How?
Dion,
What?
he has been a party pooper for the last couple of weeks. He keeps waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Let's get it together, dude. Come on,
Wow.
we're in this together.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Well,
Glad
I think
somebody
that
said
it's,
it, but I just
it's
didn't
usually
expect it.
bad form when you, I think it's bad form when you commit to a team for a year and then you leave before that. So how can anybody trust Dylan to stick around? Well, you can't trust coaches to stick around. You can't trust athletic directors to stick around. This isn't a matter of like, this kid owes us something. We're not entitled to anything from Dylan Rayola. So, and I said this Monday night, I'll say it again. These guys are going to take their time to make their decisions. They're not on our time clock. Just because we want them to announce tomorrow doesn't mean they're going to. Would it be nice? Yes, but they don't deserve to be beat up if they're, taking their time, because this is a giant decision for all of these young men. I mean, if you're going to make a decision about this, there are now millions of dollars at stake for probably these quarterbacks. And that's a huge decision and not to be taken lightly. Go ahead.
Aaron says Dion getting the mom speech, and Phil laughs and says Minnie dropping truth bombs.
And he froze just like that.
Dion catching heat is what Moonbot says. John Field says Siskel and Ebert guest starring Minnie. I don't know. I think we're like a Waldorf and who's the other Muppet up in the balcony, John?
Astoria?
No,
I have no idea.
Waldorf.
I don't know.
Hold on. Waldorf.
You're not going to look that up,
and
are you?
Statler.
Okay.
Waldorf and Statler.
Are you guys going to start singing the Mana Mana song?
I do.
You
My
know that
kids
song?
Yes.
A great song.
Yeah, here we go. Jason says Waldorf, Statler, and Minnie.
Okay,
So,
there you go. It's Statler.
Dion. Dion, did you
Wow. Just piling on now.
I'm
sorry, Dion. He's my buddy. I have to give him a hard time.
Let's see. He left. Okay, I don't know if he left. All right. I love David Matney's questions. We'll get to them. It's good. David Canaday wants to know or says, I wonder how much the 1890 initiative raised today. A few Huskers were really fired up with the thought of 2 quarterbacks coming today.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they haven't really.
There were people on Twitter that stated they were donating, and people were having screenshots of their screen of, donating to 1890. I don't, the sneaking suspicion in me that the money for this stuff is coming from somewhere else. But that's just, again, it's a hunch. It's not anything that I've heard, but there you go.
Someone with semi-recent ties to the Nebraska athletic department did come into about $15 million a little over a year ago. So maybe he's decided to give back a little bit. I don't know. Amongst all this,
I did a lot. I did some research when this whole thing started.
Wait, time out.
What?
We don't do research for this show. What are you talking about? You can't come in prepared.
Well, we have her now.
Years ago.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It had the 1890 initiative had begun with this family in Lincoln, and I forget the last name. It's
the Peds.
Thank you. And I read that there was a $4 billion fund that it started from. So if that's true, I read it. I mean, you have to
I don't know what the net worth of the Pede family is. There are just crap tons of money in America, and people, somebody said this to me today. I think it was somebody in my work, because we all complain about college football at work. Why would these people give this much money for a quarterback? Why are we doing this? And my answer to them is, there's people with just tons of money that they're more typically more overachieving people that end up with a lot of money, and they have egos. And one of the ways they show that is having a winning football team that they can, if I had an extra 100 million laying around, I'd donate to the renovation, get my name on something, and then I'd turn around and give $2 million to a quarterback, just because then I'd turn to my buddy from Penn State and say, what do you think of that? And then there's a bunch of profanity that will go along with it. Minnie said her kids were watching this, so I'd try to be nicer than normal. How old are your kids, if I can ask?
I was thinking the same question.
I have 3 daughters. Cora, Shelby, and Stella, and the oldest is 15, 11, and 9.
Okay, so they're doomed anyway. They're doomed.
So much trouble. I didn't know that until now.
Yeah, the 15-year-old's probably already just spilled everything down the river to the rest of them, and it's all over.
They love it. They sit and watch, and they know the only time that we cuss is when we're watching football.
Well, that's kind of necessary.
In regards to the 1890, James Boardman says the 1890 fund drives through next Tuesday. The first 250,000 will be matched by a big donor, which is a great time to remind you of our Young Guns for Team Jack watch along, or John Guns here. Now would be a great time if you have $5 or even $4.99 or even $1.99. I'm keeping track of it all, and we're over $200 now. Now, I wish that I could say that your donations are being matched by a big donor, but unless I win the lottery, it's pretty much just going to be your donations. But your donations to Team Jack, and we'll see. Maybe John and I can work something out. But that'd be a great time to put a little in to get a little something back. Wait, give a little. I don't know. That fell apart quickly. But regardless, let's see here. John Guns shot down in a blaze of nonsense.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. Somebody did say that it's very apparent that we don't do any prep for the show. I mean, we're not professionals. Like, I didn't do prep when I actually worked in radio. I take that back. When I worked in covering high school sports and I had whiteboards for starters. I got into radio. My first day on the job was less than 2 weeks before the first high school football game, and My first on-air gig was the Sheridan County Fair in Gordon, Nebraska in 2003. It was 20 years ago. But for the football game, Shadron Cardinals against Torrington, Wyoming, I had 2 big whiteboards, and I was able to get starting lineups ahead of time. So I would put in dry erase marker the starting lineups, first name, last name, numbers for offense and defense, so that when our kids were on offense, I could see exactly on my whiteboard who would likely be on defense for the other team. I apologize for that anecdote. That was foolish, and I feel horrible now.
You know what? I don't have to prepare because I lived this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Red says the only prep John does is preparation H.
That's
preparation A through G. We're all failures.
That is a weird comment.
But it didn't go unappreciated. Phil enjoyed it. So a few more starred comments here. Jack the Ripper, who's in and out, I think he's got to get busy in London, is what one of his outgoing comments said. Who needs a quarterback anyway? That's definitely seems to be the direction we're going. Wildcat with Heinrich Harburg. We'll just see what happens, right?
Here's the thing. Seriously, on this question, I mean, it's Danny Kaelin apparently has opened up his commitment and is visiting Michigan State. Nebraska needs quarterbacks. They don't need one freaking quarterback. They need 3. If that's going to be a 5-star
Exactly.
Dylan Rayola, so be it. If the other guys, I guess they don't want to come into Nebraska because Dylan Rayola's there, then don't. I guess go somewhere where your life is guaranteed, you bunch of pansies. This is nice a word as I get. You know what I mean? If you don't want to compete for a job, I guess then you don't belong in Division I football because you're probably going to be competing for a job no matter where you are. And you're going to come into Nebraska. You're going to live in a fishbowl. You're going to get the hell beat out of you if you throw a lot of interceptions. That's how it is. And if you can't accept that, I guess then you don't belong there. Go somewhere like Syracuse. Yeah.
And to that point, if I were Kyle McCord and thinking about how the Ohio State fans were and
right
how Nebraska fans are, I mean, the minute that he messes up, does one thing wrong, we're going to be calling for Dylan Rayola. So do you blame him?
There is that. I guess I don't from that standpoint, but at the same time, if you're going to do this, I mean, Kyle McCord's career probably isn't going to end in college. And it's only going to get, if you can't, the Ohio State fans are insane. They really are. But that's what college football is at any place that has had any level of success. And if you're going to go to the NFL, that's going to be magnified by about 3,000 times. So do I blame him? No, I don't blame him. They're young guys. They got to make decisions that are best for them. At the same time, if you're not going to be able to handle that stuff, there's no getting away from it. Here's the thing that people mistake. Here's a big mistake that people make. They think that if I'm here and I prove myself, all my haters will stop complaining. And the reality is if you're here and you become this here player that's up here, at a much higher level, all you're going to do is have more haters. They don't have to have a reason to complain. They don't go away if you prove yourself. People still complain about Tom Brady all the time. The guy was the greatest quarterback that ever lived. There's a complaint and an argument all by itself. But the haters don't ever go away. And if you can't deal with that and you can't deal with competition, then, I don't know what you're doing playing Division I football in the first place. That's the harsh reality of that statement. That's really what it is. Is that mean?
No. I mean, I feel like it's realistic.
We have a series of comments here about job competition. Josh says Tommy Frazier and Brooke had to compete and ain't none of these guys them. That's tough to read. Those double negatives back to back like that. That's tough to read out loud.
You did good.
Thank you. If we could, Chatterfields, if we could, bring our A game on Wednesdays and Thursday nights and I'm just kidding. I don't care. I have to be a shithead. I'm sorry, a poop head for the children who are listening. Jason Reeves says, John, when's the last time a 5-star IT geek was hired to do your job?
Well, they're slowly. I said this earlier when I was on with Beth. I am a 61-year-old IT guy with a brain injury. My career is slowly slipping away to all those 5-star younger IT geeks. That's what it is. This is how it goes. If I'm not realistic about that and those expectations, then yeah, I'm going to be damaged by it. And I might be like a lot of other guys I know my age, that they get fired by a company, let go, to soften that up a little bit, and they go, well, where was the loyalty? Well, you shouldn't expect any. That's the reality of the situation. When you're doing your job and you're doing stuff, maybe you get loyalty from your family. My kid flipping me off walking in here. But, I've had to work with a lot of people that are very good at what they do. And, the thing about here's the thing about IT. Everybody brings, like in a football team, everybody brings something different to the table. And either you respect each other's values and what you bring to the table and you can all work to each other, or you go sulk in the corner. And IT people, God help us with our lack of social skills, are very, very good at sulking in the corner. I hope the IT people don't come after me.
MWI, or maybe that's Roman numeral 1. And by the way, if I have to guess, like if you're going to use initials, I'm going to just start making things up. So MW1 is Mortal Wombat 1. It's not realistic to compete for a job. I don't compete for my job in the real world. I can't even figure out why I'm still employed.
He or she is in a lucky position then.
You use Mortal Wombat and you put respect on that name.
Joel Tilson, I think a while back, he said something along the lines of Nebraska's problem was that we've had some pretty crappy ADs.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. And that's the truth. I mean, honestly.
What, John?
Oh, Wade Farr. Manning is sitting, and I don't know what the hell he's doing in Texas.
Is that right?
Maybe that's
Archie Manning is sitting and waiting in Texas. He's like
he's wazitting. We should go get him. Maybe he could wazit at Nebraska for less money.
Brian Bauer says, hoping Kalen stays. Minnie's right, though. Fans are nuts. McCord is if Rayola turns out to be the second coming of Trevor Lawrence, he'll be out of a job mid-season. So
I suppose that was it. He was
right,
told, we're recruiting Dylan Rayola, and you're going to have to compete for a job. And he went, I don't want to. Okay, well then go over there.
Well, let's back the conversation up just 32 short minutes. We were talking about Casey Thompson, and Brett informed us that Casey was granted a 7th year, which means
could be at Nebraska. It could be at Nebraska.
He's in town. Yeah. I think we've touched on this, but it's highlighted, and so I'm just gonna hit it and find out. Don't start, Fred. Joel Tilson says, will Rayola be guaranteed to be starting quarterback at Nebraska? I would say at this point, nothing's guaranteed, right? If you're not going to guarantee the 11-1, kid who just, took Ohio State, 1 win away from the Big Ten championship game, I don't think anything's guaranteed, but I do think it's kind of, likely.
I don't think you can ever do that. You can. I don't think you ever do that for anybody, and still have a successful team.
One thing I love about Rhule is that he is so in love with Nebraska history. And I think for him, having Dylan Rayola come to Nebraska is like having Tom Osborne watch practices. It's like, oh my gosh, he's our son. Like, why wouldn't we want him?
Wow. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Dylan Stalker, if he doesn't come to Nebraska and goes back to Georgia? Are you gonna just switch?
No.
You're gonna start wearing the red G thing, aren't you?
Never. Nope. He will. He'll come.
I feel like Minnie's probably on the inner circle of people. Like Dylan from Nebraska probably called Minnie and said, it's looking like it's going to happen. Can you give me another $5,000? And then inform Georgia of his decision. Let's see.
I wish this would have worked out differently, and then you could still tell us stories about being on the chain gang.
When we're talking about Memorial Stadium upgrades, or we weren't, the Chatterfields were. Fred says John should. I think it should say should, but it said would. John should get his name on a golden toilet in Memorial Stadium.
I want a trough. When they renovate, I would like the John Johnston trough. There you go.
But it better not be Memorial.
Bottom, across the bottom. That way people can just pee on my name.
Well, if they're anything like your biological son who comes in and flips you the double bird, I feel like it's right there in the realm of possibility. Fred says Minnie will move to Georgia and always call him short on fourth down.
That's right. He doesn't come.
I like
that. Let's see. Branson Chab wants to know, is John still drinking the Rhule-Aid?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's only been his first year, and I think that, he looks like he's doing everything right to me. I mean, he can't just. Yes, we have a lot of players returning that we want back. We look like we're moving forward in the right direction. I mean, everything looks good except for we don't have any quarterbacks, and I'm sure that's going to be worked out in the next couple of weeks. Maybe we'll have 5. Maybe 5 tomorrow will just show up and go, I want to be a quarterback at the University of Nebraska. And there'll be guys we've never heard of.
Or it could be like a very special Oprah Winfrey. Like, you get to be quarterback in Nebraska. You get to be quarterback in Nebraska. You get to be quarterback.
Check under your seats.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time for asking this question. Minnie?
Yes.
Kush King wants to know if you've ever had to use a trough.
No. In fact, I was confused when John said he wanted a trough. I thought, now what does that have to do with the bathroom?
Okay. John, you want to tell her? You want me to tell her? Or did you pick it up in context?
I figured it out. Okay.
She's probably old enough that she just took her a moment and she suddenly considered, the male. How many, whatever. Let's move on.
We have some actual non-restroom related questions. And
that's good.
This is what I mentioned a little bit ago, and I said I love living in Omaha. David Matney's questions, because he says, "What's the minimum threshold for success next season?"
Oh, they damn were, but go ahead, Minnie.
Just take his answer. Just steal his answer.
Number 1 on my list is to beat the Buffaloes.
Oh,
that is a must. Has to happen. And of course, we all want to go to a bowl. We expect it. It's our second year in this program. And I mean, we had a 15th ranked defense this year. So there should be no reason why we can't make it with 9 returning players on defense. And with Tony White getting a nice pay raise, PTW.
I'll go with that. I like that. I mean, I suppose by the season rolls around, we'll have people going, we better go 10-2 or 9-3 just so they can possibly be disappointed. I mean, we'll see where this is when August rolls around. I know that's a long ways away, which is why I try to pay attention to the other sports in Nebraska that will disappoint me as well, especially if they're men's sports, apparently.
John, what's your minimum threshold for success? What does Nebraska have to accomplish in 20?
She said it. I'll agree with her. Beat Colorado and go to a bowl. For right now, it's December of 2023.
Yeah, hope springs eternal, and we're not to August yet, but
no.
I mean, no what?
No, we're not to August.
No, Can I finish, or do you want to?
I'm having a Tourette's moment. Okay, that's just going to happen sometimes. You should know this.
I'm fairly certain that by the time we get to the season predictions, they're on the last episode before the first game of 2024. I'm probably going to say 15-0. Right now, minimum threshold for success. Let's do all the things that Minnie said, right? Beat Colorado. You got to beat Iowa, but you got to be above 5. Like 6-6, I don't think will look as sparkling, I suppose. When you look at the first half of the Nebraska schedule, everybody's already saying, well, you should go into week 8 or the bye or whatever it is, 7-0. All right, well, let's do that. I mean, if everybody's going to be as confident now, you can't go 3 games into next season and say, we're shit in the bed. All right, we're going to finish 2-10, and Matt Rhule's going to be fired, and we're going to have to do this buyout. And thank God it's not a who the hell got fired at A&M? I can't.
Jimbo.
Thank you.
Jimbo Fisher.
Thank you. We're not going to have that kind of buy, but hold on to your butts. All right, everybody. 7-5. Beat the team. Beat your neighbors who you dying to beat anyway. Win the games that you hope to win, and by God, don't turn the ball over so much. We saw plenty of comments here tonight about holding on to the balls on Tonder's side.
Okay, but I just wanted to add one more thing. This season was a success in my book. I know. We lost so many close games, but think of what we learned. I mean, geez, we saw some amazing things turn around. I was so impressed. I mean, I had hope every single week, and I hadn't had that hope in years. So I think this season was a success.
It's like I'm a big Nick Cage fan. I don't know if that's as cool in 2023 as it was 15 years ago. But about 15 years ago, he made a little movie called National Treasure. And in it, he said, what did Thomas Edison say after he successfully invented the light bulb? He's like, I didn't, just invent the light bulb. I found 3,000 ways not to invent the light bulb. So, Minnie, to your point, right. I think we found a lot of areas we can improve. We found a lot of the weakness, weak points, the areas that need upgrading. And I think we did. We took some measures to solidify that. Again, we locked down Tony White, gave him that restructured contract. There was a comment in there about quarterback coach being, still coaching in the NFL right now. So I think some things are moving in the right direction. But what my fear is because it's been this way for 20 years, on the good years, we'll have a really good component of the team, and then the rest of the team is the drizzling turds. What I'd really like to see is a nice confluence of success in all 3 facets of the game, which means we also have to find a punter. So, David, great question there. Led to some terrific conversation. Let's see. We were talking about. Oh, here we go. John Fields. I'm highlighting this one because it's basketball season. And John Fields says, only thing scares me about Dylan Rayola is he's flipped more times than Caitlin Clark flops on the basketball court.
Wow. That is not, number one, that's not possible. And number 2, how many times has he flipped? He's only gone from Nebraska to Georgia.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Where else?
Ohio. Ohio
okay.
State. And
he was at Ohio State.
But here's the deal, okay? When we all got so excited about him possibly coming to Nebraska this spring, he never said that Nebraska was a possibility. He never said it. And so we all made that happen. And so we got our hearts broken. Just because he goes to, a basketball game doesn't mean that he's coming to play football. And so we got our hearts broken. and he went
Why
to
else
Georgia.
would anybody ever go to a Nebraska men's basketball game?
He's
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. I'll see
Yeah.
myself out. I'm just kidding. All
They're,
right.
you know what? They're 7-2. They're 1-1 in the Big Ten, and we'll see where they go from here.
Hey, they had a nice win against Michigan State.
They did.
All right, let's see. John had another one. This time specifically for you, Minnie.
Oh.
Calm down, Josh. I mean, no.
What?
And you know what, Josh? You calm down too. You haven't been feeling well this week. But John, you calm down. John Field says, question for Minnie: are the fans in Arizona as passionate as in Lincoln?
Yes, even maybe more so. We travel to games. We have there's probably like 3 Husker bars I can think of. There's a Husker apparel shop in Scottsdale. I mean, it's the real deal. And it's fun.
There's a large alumni group down there, isn't there?
There is. Yep. Basically, everyone retires here. Scott Frost lives he lives like 5 minutes from here.
Are you stalking him?
No.
Like, no, what? He's used up his eligibility. Get the hell out of here. I've seen pictures. It looks like a very nice place that Nebraska fans were. What? I guess I can't say Nebraska taxpayers because that's not how the football program is operated. It's self-funded certainly, but yeah. So nice domicile there. Mortal Wombat 1 says, do you think any of the 3 of you? I got to read that again. Do you think any of the 3 of you can script a new type of loss we will witness next season never seen before?
No.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
I can't script it. I'm not that creative.
Unless it involves aliens or lizard people from the other side of the flat Earth.
The only thing that comes to mind, they don't. The only thing that comes to mind is, we've been the victim of walk-off field goals, but being a walk-off safety to lose 2-0 as time expires.
Why are you entertaining this? Why is this going through your head?
Because it's fun.
It's literally no, it's not. It's terrifying. It's horrible. It's like you're one of those people that are going to speak something into existence.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I wish I had that kind of power.
Now see this, Greg, now the lizard people from the other side of the flat Earth are coming to your house in the next week.
Josh says safety in overtime, so at least my buddy and I are of one mind in that.
And Phil Spear, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, Phil Spear said Rayola transferred high schools too. Well, first of all, he transferred from Texas to Arizona, which is where his family is from. And then when he was playing at Chandler, there was a problem there with the coaches. It was like 22 students transferred. I know it sounds really bad that I know this stuff about 16, 17, 18-year-olds.
It's okay.
But they all transferred because there was a problem with the coaching. So that's why Dylan Rhule was going to play at Pinnacle High School. So, and then when he decided to go to Georgia, that's why he went to Georgia. So there's an explanation for him going to all these different high schools. Just wanted to clear that up.
Of the people on this show, there was only one of us who would have all that info.
Yeah. I hope and pray that Dylan Rayola comes to Nebraska, so you're with us for it, Minnie.
Me too.
Fred thanks me for speaking it into existence. That's how we'll lose to Iowa. Beetle B says Iowa beating us after we go undefeated.
Yeah, see there? See what you're doing? You're manifesting evil. You're manifesting negativity. That's what you're doing.
John says, John Fields says offensive offside. You got to be able to laugh, John. Jeez.
What you know? What Dave Remington was called for that when he played in the Bulls in the '80s as a center. Do you remember that? No, you don't. You're too young. Yeah,
that's true. I am.
The pain still
I'm
exists.
much too young.
The pain still exists. Watching
I'm sorry,
those games.
John. Do you want to hug it out?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I asked. Josh wants to know, Minnie, have you ever been to games at the Old Gray Lady, or are you like another host on this show?
Who? Greg.
Yeah. It's on the to-do list.
I mean, there's nothing like it. Yes, I have. In fact, the very first game I went to, I was flying out of Omaha and I saw Dylan Rayola. And I was going to go, this was like when he was still in Texas. And I knew he was on a radar. I was going to go up to him. He was on his phone. I was going to go up to him and say, "You need to come to Nebraska." Crazy fan.
Are you like a Twitter account in real life? Like just following all the high school kids around, be like, "Go Big Red, gotta come to Nebraska. See you in Lincoln."
Yes.
Let's see. Fred says that he thought the Old Gray Lady was John's stage name.
Oh my God! I thought the Old Gray Lady was like the New York Times or something.
I've never heard Memorial Stadium called the Old Gray Lady. I don't know if Josh made that up. Let's see. John thinks that maybe, Minnie, you're on Dylan's payroll. Have all the inside info. I've been called a manifesting man-child. Thank you, Fred. Because of all my creative ways that we can lose next year. Let's see. Caleb with a great question. How much Nebraska if Nebraska could win?
That.
Hopefully not as much as Nebraska did in the last 20 years.
John, that should be a t-shirt. That would make a great t-shirt.
Oh my God.
That reminds me. I have an image that a couple weeks back, maybe a month now, I took a picture of one of the comments here. I got to find it. It was a pearl. It was a true pearl of wisdom. And shout out to Roger Moore, who I don't think's joined us tonight. And I don't know what the hell we were talking about. It was the end of October, so we were still in the thick of things. But he says, "Hate corrodes the cauldron it's contained in." You remember that one, John?
No.
Okay.
But it's pretty good. It's like he stole that from Bruce Lee.
Are you talking about water?
No, the line.
To do that, you'll need to turn off airplane mode.
Shut up, Siri. I'm not talking to you. Josh says, "Hey, Greg, didn't John write a book or a few?" And you know what? That's true. John does have a couple of books that you can get him on Amazon. The one that I'm going to put up here is the only one that I own, and I still had to pay for that. But it's Been Dead, Never Been to Europe by John Johnston. He also has, of course, you don't forget Manage Your Damage. Yeah. Right, John? Is it Manage Your Damage? And then
Manage Your Damage, Heart Attack Survivor.
And then the most recent one is Why the Hell Is There This Dent in My Head, or something similar.
Well, it's the mystery of the dent in my head.
Yeah.
It's an ebook only.
Okay. And they're all available on Amazon.
You know what? I thinking that I'm going to write some more books. Probably fiction about this crazy woman that stalks high school quarterbacks.
Nice. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I love it. Yes. John Field.
John Field says, "I just noticed John has his Hugh Hefner robe on." John, can you stand up, turn around, and really show us?
No, what are you doing? No. God only knows when I'm going to get this. Christmas is coming, you know. God only knows what we're going to get this Christmas.
That sounds like a Beach Boy song. Remember that one, John?
No.
God only knows.
I was never a Beach Boys guy.
That's fine. Well,
I was, more of a punk rock guy.
That's fine. I mean, Beach Boys were well before punk rock, but okay.
Minnie, did you get a call?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you go to college?
Yes.
Can I ask where?
Here in Phoenix.
So Arizona State?
No, I
No,
went
that's
to
in
Phoenix
Tempe,
College.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And
And-
did you go? What was the music? What was your favorite music when you were in college?
Oh gosh.
I don't think Minnie, you don't have to answer that. It's
Yeah, because
Like,
Beach-
genre.
okay.
Was it hip hop?
Well,
Was it hip hop
no.
hogwash? Was it, ska? Was it post punk 80s? Was it,
I hate to
think
tell you
about
this.
it for a future show.
No. Okay, good.
All right.
Yes.
You can think about it.
Beetle B,
What?
Metallica.
Yeah. Okay. You were one of
Yeah.
those. Enter Sandman.
one of those. What?
I don't
Never
know.
mind.
You know,
I don't even know.
Metallica.
One of those.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm thinking, John.
That's what I was thinking too. He's trying to get me to.
You don't have to divulge it. You save that for your W-2
Wow.
tax form. We don't. You don't need to. You don't need to give that information to John.
Okay, good.
Moonbot7 says John is a big circle jerk fan. I'll tell you this story about the circle jerks. The circle jerks were a punk band out of LA, and they had a big role. They had a big role in the movie called Decline to Western Civilization. Now, my mom, the DJ, loved punk rock. And she called me at the dorm one time in Shram 6, where I lived. And she said, there's a movie coming to Lincoln called Decline of Western Civilization, and you need to invite all your friends to go to it. So I took 20 friends and we went to the Sheldon Film Theater on campus, and we all went to Decline of the Western Civilization, which was about all the punk bands in LA. X was very famous, the Circle Jerks. I can't remember. Well, X-Scene was a big thing in there, and I can't think of the rest of them. But Darby, this guy named Darby, was the lead singer, and his manager kept saying that the hardest thing to get Darby to do is to actually sing into the mic. That's my punk. I loved punk rock when I was in college. That's the thing that I had going in college. There you go. Well, you guys got quiet. What the hell? It's the name of a band, for God's sake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roger.
I could go into some of the music, and it would be even worse than the conversation, the dialogue, or the monologue I just had. So.
Look, if you're just listening to this podcast, for the last 2 minutes during John's CJ story, his quote unquote punk rock story,
Right.
involves his mom for some weird reason. I've been throwing up comments from the Chatterfields, and you're going to want to go back to about the 1 hour and 20-minute mark on the video to watch, because everybody's in a great mood tonight. My gosh.
Okay. The Dead Kennedys. I don't think they were from LA, but they were a very good band. Holiday in Cambodia. Don't forget to pack your wife. There you go. All right. We should move on from this.
We got another question. Somebody said something about the holiday season, and Joel Tilson said Husker fans dreaming of a Dylan Rayola Christmas.
Amen.
Well, that is, you know what your task is for the next show, Minnie?
Get
I
a
want you to
blanket with his
compose
face
a
on it?
song. I want you to compose a song around that concept. A song around that concept. And it can't be just it can't be just a ripoff of, I'm dreaming of a Dylan Rayola Christmas.
Okay.
Just like the ones we've never had before. Okay.
I did want to say something. I'm really looking forward to Fridays. Okay. Fridays pictures with Rhule and Rayola because this is his first official visit, right? Have you
Is it?
noticed that? Yeah, yeah, he
I didn't know
hasn't
that.
taken an official visit yet. Rhule does this in all his pictures.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No.
Boy Scout.
Why?
Nebraska. That's
Oh,
supposed to look like Nebraska.
the outline.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
I can't get that.
I didn't realize that. I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fred Sacco says, I can't imagine John in the 70s, and it's amazing and frightening. Highlander Gun is very disappointed that he's late. You're just gonna have to go back and watch the show in its entirety, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. So Moonbot, this was 20 something minutes ago. Moonbot 7 said Rayola will have over 3,000 passing yards next year. True or false?
Yeah.
False.
Minnie's right in there.
I'm taking the under on that one.
I would hope that we get a seasoned quarterback to come in and let Dylan play 4 games, and then let the seasoned starter, the veteran quarterback, play most of the season, and then we have Dylan Rayola for 5 years because he preserves his redshirt year as we bring in a veteran.
Will he need to be here
There you
5
go.
years? The only reason he's going to be here 5 years is if he wants to win back-to-back national championships. Otherwise, he'd probably just go to pro after his third year of playing.
He's like 6'3", 220 pounds. I mean, this kid is a man. He's not a kid. He's not like one of those freshmen that you need to sit on the bench and let them, gain some muscle and let their bodies develop. He's there. He's ready to play.
I hope Dylan Rayola comes to Nebraska. This is going to be the most disappointing thing ever.
I just,
Okay.
Somebody in the comments has to help me out on that because I'm struggling to maintain my composure. Minnie, it's great to have you here. Let's say that again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember the context of this, but Kush King said 17 minutes ago that we have lived a sports nightmare for over 2 decades. I wish I could remember what we were talking about 17 minutes ago, but John's CJ story really cleared out most of my memory from before that. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
Hey,
what?
There was also fear. Fear had the song "I Love Living in the City," absolutely punk rock anthem. You can probably find it on YouTube. Fear. There was the Germs. I looked up some Henry Rollins, if anybody remembers him from Black Flag.
I remember Henry
Black
Rollins
Flag,
before he
course.
became like a motivational speaker or something, right?
Yeah, Henry Rollins has always been an amazing person, but he quit music. He just quit music a few years ago, and that was pretty amazing. And he's been a poet and a writer and motivational speaker. Some of these people went on and they did just incredible stuff, I don't know if Darby ever did.
What was the name of that? All right. Calm. What was the name of that song you mentioned about something in the city?
I Love Living in the City by Fear.
Is that at all similar to Glenn Fry's song "You Belong to the City"? No. Okay.
Trust me, it's not. I don't think it's profane, but it's pretty harsh,
There's Roger Moore. He showed up.
He did.
All right. And I like the comment.
That's right. Is this the one, right one, Minnie?
Yeah.
Perfect. NU's making more news in Colorado than Colorado right now.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There was one. John Fields thinking Minnie should be a regular. Phil agrees. Minnie knows her stuff.
If her family comes back after this and says yes, then we passed the test. We've probably scared everybody off in this first thing.
I do feel because she told us ahead of time. She's like, yeah, they're having a watch party over at
I know.
say your relative's house or like
My in-laws, yeah.
yeah. So
So
They're
sweet.
probably all like, "Oh my
So
God, what have you
cute.
done?"
did you warn them about us, about the general community?
They know about you. I make them watch you guys.
Okay. God bless you.
I like how she said that. I make them watch you. What do you have this forceful of a personality?
I bribe them. Okay.
Okay, all right.
That's all.
Well, I
Well,
was
they're
thinking before,
they're
you know,
too
you
young for
called the
alcohol.
school and said
Yeah.
you called the school and said you wanted to volunteer, and they just immediately gave you a position on the chain gang. I mean,
Anyone can. Seriously.
Okay.
Anyone can.
They're probably
So this
dying for
is-
help. All right, so I got to ask you this, John, because again, I got a bad memory. That song about is something in the city. I like living in the city.
Yeah,
and
I
I
love
said,
living in the city.
I was close, and I asked. Apparently, it's not related to Glen Fry's "You Belong to the City."
No,
But Josh says it's obviously based on "We Built This City."
That's
It
what I
is
keep.
not.
That's what's playing in my head over and over.
that is the
Since you guys
worst.
have been
That is
talking-
the worst song ever made.
Whoa, I don't think
It
you've listened to
is.
most
It's
music in
just
the
a-
last 20 years.
No, it is just a poppy, terrible song written to be a hit using a formula. I mean, okay,
So
it's
the
like
formula.
Huey Lewis in the news. It's just poopy stuff that's just written to be bland. Let's
Hey.
make a hit stuff.
you keep Huey Lewis out of your damn mouth. All right.
You
Without
can
him,
go-
we
you
wouldn't
can
have
go-
Back to the Future.
You can go
All
to
right.
YouTube and look up "I Love Living in the City" Fear, and you will. There it is. There's several iterations out there.
Josh Hansen. I love what he said. They built an actual city, John, on rock and roll. Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. I think we've probably
Sti-
kept Minnie from her family long enough, don't you think? Like, oh. Did you hit that?
That is the beautiful song I had done this. I wrote this summer. Or this, yeah, it was July because I was in Texas. See,
I
you could
forgot
do
all
this
about
for
that.
Christmas, Minnie. Yeah.
I'll think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's absolutely, if he commits, I'm in.
No, but then it'd be
You
after. You have to
do you
write the
do
song
karaoke?
to help sell Nebraska to Dylan
No.
Rayola.
You don't want me to do karaoke.
You don't.
got
Okay. Okay.
All right. How far
You could
away
probably
is
you could probably pick a punk band from the 80s and just, most of those guys couldn't sing. You could
That's
just,
what I'm thinking.
I love living in the city. Da-da-da. Okay, anyway.
Speaking of, I think actually you'll appreciate this one, John. Shane McGowan passed away within the past week. The
Yes,
front
he
man
did.
for the Pogues.
Yep.
Like an Irish folk punk type band. So it was good music. I think I talked about that last week. Anyway, all right.
My wife learned to love the Pogues. Driving us to Hutchinson, Kansas for a wedding, and she had to drive for hours, and her car broke down. We had to get her car fixed in some remote Kansas town, and we all sat at the bar and took over the bar because we were allowed obnoxious drunk jerks, and she was driving, had to listen to us sing the Pogues from Nebraska all the way down to Hutchinson, Kansas. It's one of her favorite bands. I have these.
Fred's also going to write a song. He says, I'll write a Built This City song based on Husker football just for you guys.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
all
Seems
right.
like it would be perfect.
I feel like,
There you go.
we all got a little bit of that Midwestern in. I've been like, hitting my thighs about ready to stand up and say, well, but we're so gosh darn nice that we just can't leave. So, we're going to leave. This has been going on, dare I say, long enough. Bug Eaters 79 comes in and he says, no football talk this week. No, it's just you missed it all. That was the first hour of the show. The second half hour, I should say the last bit of the show here has just been anyway.
We're getting to know each other. We're figuring out how we're going to make this work. That's what this is.
I've been told to get a haircut and that I'm a hippie. We got Christmas coming up. I'll probably get a haircut for that. Actually, I've got work photos on Friday, so I'll probably get a haircut tomorrow. Josh says, jumping around. Josh says, we built this city on cinnamon rolls and chili. Stephanie says, this has been so fun.
That's good.
We appreciate that you all are still with us. Good Lord.
You put up with my whole story about the LA rock punk bands.
Just call it what you really want to call it, John. It's your CJ story. All right.
No, it's they were just one band. Black Flag was the one that I really loved, and the Decline of Western Civilization was a very interesting movie. Okay, we'll move on. I keep going back to it.
Morgan says Dylan for quarterback. Among all the multitude of comments that we had about the greatness of the show, which look, it's a show with me, so that's always debatable. But Phil says mostly about Minnie stalking. That was a bright spot for a lot of people. Let's see here. When's movie night? Highlander Gun wants to know.
Yeah.
After the first of the year.
We are going to do a test run with something, and I'm going to surprise either you guys or Todd with what we're going to go through. So we will do a test run of reacting to something before we do Young Guns.
Okay.
Be prepared.
I like the fact that it's a surprise.
It will not be a punk band from the 80s. So you know.
Okay. Moonbot7 says, good show, guys. Minnie was awesome as expected.
Oh, thank you.
John's feeling his oats stories are the best. I think is that sewing? I think it's supposed to be sewing his oats. Stories.
That's why I want to hear Todd's take on some of these stories. I have some questions for him.
I don't know if you want those answers though.
The thing with me and Todd is listen, the thing with me and Todd is this. He knows if he says certain stories that I am going to bring up certain stories about him. So there are things that we just do not encroach upon these certain boundaries that both of us have. Okay.
MW1 just wants to hear me say Mortal Wombat 1. Now, if if my family wasn't all asleep, I do it like they do in the video game with the, shouting Mortal Wombat. I can't do it right now. It wouldn't go great. Justin wants you to know, John, that he loves Black Flag. Roger says
everybody should.
Okay. Roger says, Minnie, great show tonight. Nothing about you or I, John. So already we're being replaced. Here, let's just go ahead and do this. There we go.
No.
Fred says, keep your robe closed for the surprise. There was some debate as I asked you to stand up and twirl around. You said no, but people were speculating that you're just not wearing pants, and that's why you didn't want to stand up. Augustine Chavez says, go blue. Sure.
He's going to leave us guessing.
That's fine. Honestly,
whether or not I wear pants. What?
Let's see. Nope, not going to read that one, Fred. Sorry. All right. John says that Minnie's going to stalk you now, John. No, I don't see that happening. First of all, I mean, she's already here. Like,
yeah.
If this is as close as I can get to John, it's probably as close as anybody online can get to John. And I say this with love and respect because I know John. I've had the pleasure of working with John for over a decade now in various podcast capacities here at CornNation. Dylan has more to offer.
He has more to offer our team.
Wow.
Come on.
I mean the team from a football capacity.
Mhm.
So all right.
I have to go because I have to go because I'm gonna weep.
John, are you a first-year starter? Fred is asking Minnie if you got the build to step in week 1.
I haven't seen him throw, so
All right, let's get the hell
That's
out
a
of
good
here.
answer. That is a good answer. Yeah, we probably should. It's getting it. It took a
I-
left turn at that whole punk rock thing, didn't it?
I did try ending this show 10 minutes ago, but here we are. All right, everybody. Minnie, it was truly great to have you here, and we hope
Thank
that you join
you.
us again, as I'm sure you will. Maybe you don't have to kick the family out next time.
No.
But as anybody who watches knows, I think Fred saw it earlier. I had to do a stiff arm maneuver on my oldest as he was trying to walk up
wow.
behind me. So if you have to tackle children, keep them away from that's fine. But thank you so much. John, is always great seeing you, and I appreciate the fact that you put up with me, and you have for a decade. So for all you Chatterfields, I say it to most weeks, we know you have a lot of entertainment options here on Wednesdays or Thursday nights. So we certainly do appreciate the time that you spend with us here at the 5 Heart Podcast and CornNation. So from all of us to all of you, we remind you each and every week that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red.
Minnie?
Thank you, guys. Go Big Red.
Good night, everybody.
Did you want to hear me sing the Pogues?
I don't.